Greetings. Greetings, brother. Greetings, my brothers and sisters. How you doing out there? I hope you're all fine. Hope you've had a good day today so far on this Friday. Chrissy B, the motive is to get acquainted more with me. And, a lot of the uploads we've done previously have been recorded. If you're new around there, don't forget to subscribe, please, and to like the videos because the videos helps with the algorithms and it helps our videos to go out there into the wider world and for people to more viewers to see us and to see what we do and to of course get to subscribe to the channel. Uh, we're about 309 subscribers thus far. I want to get to 1,000 by the end of the year. So subscribers, and as I said, when we get to 1,000 subscribers, we're going to give away free prizes to three lucky winners. We're here to talk about reggae, brothers and sisters. What is reggae? Uh, this year makes it 55 years of since reggae was first created in Jamaica. I've done many shows on the radio about reggae music, and I've done many posts on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, about reggae, what it means, things about reggae, which newspapers in the UK have published, and so on. And I've spoken about it in public. I've done many things around reggae. I've been on YouTube, reggae, and so on. But I want to give you a live stream here. We're not going to be on for a long time. We're going to maybe be on for about half an hour. I'll come again another time and give you some more. But we're here to talk about what is reggae. I'm just going to give you a few points today about what reggae is. Reggae was first coined in the year of 1968. There's many people who have claimed from the legends of years gone by in Jamaica, when of course, Jamaican music was initially rhythm and blues was adapted from American music, American R&B, and then these guys inspired the Jamaican guys. You also had other people like Sam Cooke who did R&B before R&B turned into the soul music. Also, there was an inspiration there from gospel music as well, which we'll talk about another time. It all ties in, but we're solely going to keep it reggae today. And I'm going to give you the origins and where it was initiated from, and so on. So, but reggae music at the same time came from those idioms, as I mentioned. And in 1968, because before reggae there was rocksteady, we'll talk about rocksteady another time, and ska another time. Jamaicans created, adapted rhythm and blues, which was Jamaican R&B. Then after R&B came ska, it came out of that, and then after ska came rocksteady, when the musicians changed the beat of the music, and they're going around calling it. First of all, the music was called reggae, but some of the music, and so a lot of the musicians were saying that it'd be really difficult of us to call this new music, which is a beautiful sound of music, after a prostitute. So we're not gonna call it that. And then one day, according to Toots, the late and great Toots Hibbert, out of the Toots and the Maytals band, or the Maytals band as it was called then, the later when they became known as Toots and the Maytals, Toots said that him and his friends were jamming in the studio one day, and come on, let's do the reggae. And that word kind of stuck. And then not long after that, he recorded a song for Byron Lee called "Do the Reggae," and accordingly, that was the very first time that the name reggae was coined or used as a title for a song and coined in the song. This is 1968. In them days, reggae wasn't spelled Reggae, it was spelled Reggay. Then later on, they changed the word, they changed some of the words at the end of the spelling into reggae. So it was reggae then and it was reggae afterwards. So they changed it from Reggay to Reggae. And then some year around that time, Derek Morgan had some songs as well, called, I think it was called, some songs called reggae and so on. These musicians were starting to use the word reggae as well. But from what I'm reading, Toots was the first one to coin the name of reggae onto record. As I take my glasses off, onto records. You had a song. This is really strange because this song was done in, no, it was actually done in a very early 1968 by Eric Monty Morris, a living legend. And he had a song for Clancy Eccles called Say What You're Saying. Say what you're saying, do what you're doing. And Dennis Brown covered it some years later. I'm going to be careful for copyright reasons, so I can't sing all the song. And then in that song, he said that the beat was changing from out of rock steady into like a different jerky sound. So Clancy Eccles reckons that song from Eric Monty Morris was probably the first reggae song, not with the words and reggae in it, not the title, but with the beat changing from the slower, more melodic rock steady coming out of ska, and it was going into like a jerky sound, which many of the reggae songs between 68 and 70, which was the first reggae songs, were really typical of and noted for, was, of course, the beat had changed. But hold that thought. And so 68 was the year then reggae started. And as I said, Toots said he was the first one. And afterwards, you had other songs like Bangarang by Stranger Cole and Gladstone Anderson. Woman, I wanna Bangarang. That was also 1968. Then the beat would totally change from rock steady into a jerky sound. They call it the spaghetti sound of reggae in the tail end of the 60s. And so those are some of the first reggae songs. As I mentioned, you had the Race fans. They had a song called Bookie Man there in 1968. You could hear that the beat would change from rock steady into a more jerkier sound. And some of the musicians really credited and noted for the change from rock steady into the reggae sound were people like Hux Brown, the guitarist. You know, Hux Brown was a great guitarist. I've done a video here. You can check it out. I've done it about 3 or 4 years ago. Check it out. The documentary I done, the video I done on Hux Brown, great guitarist. He's one of the first guys to change the guitar from the rock steady one into the reggae one. Also, Jackie Mittoo, the great genius at Studio One, is noted as being the first man to change the organ sound. So the organ pattern changed out of the rock steady one into a reggae one. So you had a sound like this. Reggae. The sound almost sounds like you're whispering, reggae. Bob Marley says that when you listen to a reggae song, he said this many years ago, Bob Marley. He said that when you listen to a reggae song with the afterbeat changing out of rock steady, it almost sounds as if you're whispering seconds ago. Reggae. So on and so forth, and it goes on and on. The reggae core is that, the juju, but you've got different bass patterns according to the reggae song itself. So according to how the songwriter sings a song and how he or she writes the song or sings, as I said, sings a song, then the musicians follow suit and fit that reggae bass pattern around that song, but with the core of the instruments, so the core of the musician going and so on and so forth. Hold my drift. It's not overly difficult to explain, but sometimes it can be very difficult to kind of comprehend and kind of understand what's being said. But it all ties in, and it's all relevant and so on, you know. And so there you have it. This year is 55 years of the celebration of reggae. And the thing is as well, is that after 1968, everything became known as reggae. So the whole genre of the music became known as reggae music. So reggae became the umbrella for all the genres that came before and after. So even when you say to somebody, okay, then I'm going to listen to some reggae music. you're more or less talking about the whole idioms of the music. So as I said, you had rhythm and blues when the Jamaicans first started out in the late 50s, early 60s. That was when they were trying to adapt the music from America, because America were big inspirations for Jamaican music and Jamaican musicians, and the sound systems would play those sounds. I'm going to talk about the history of sound systems very soon, and we're going to talk about this section. So you had the late 50s, early 60s, rhythm and blues, Jamaican. The first wave of singers who came from the island were singing that. So you had the people like Orin Gray, Derek Morgan, people like even Monty Morris was recording in the early days, Prince Foster, Lassell Perkins, Alton and Eddie, which is Alton Ellis and Eddie Perkins, Derek Arrett and the Driving Juniors. And we're going to talk about that when we speak about the history of sound systems very, very soon. But those were the first wave of singers. You had the musicians like Crew J and the Blues Blasters and Ursan Sang and the City Slickers. And those were amongst the first musicians that picked up an instrument to actually get their to be recorded around music or as solo musicians itself. And we'll talk about this, as I said, some more another time. But reggae is the focus today. And so, as I was saying before, so that was, and then out of all the items, and you had ska, which was Jamaica's first commercial sound. Ska was the first music that the Jamaicans created, that went all around the world and was celebrated all around the world, ska music. And then after ska, you had rocksteady, which is more slower paced, more melodic. And then after rocksteady, then came reggae. So after that, the name of reggae, because it was so nice on the air, because it was so easy on the air, everybody adapted this word of reggae and used it as the umbrella and used it as the designated title for the whole genre of the whole music. Reggae originally was the sound of the music between the years of 1968, as I've mentioned before, and 1970, when after 1970, then they became another kind of reggae music, another kind of beat, yeah, which was called the drum beat, kank sounds of early 70s reggae. And much of the Wailers songs around this time, people like, of course, or songs like The Harder They Come by Jimmy Cliff, The Slickers, Johnny Too Bad. Those songs were like skank sound reggae. The subgenre that came after reggae itself. It came after the jerky sounds of the spaghetti sound of reggae, which was called skank. So skank reggae, or as Bunny Lee would call it, the great Bunny Lee, the best teacher I've ever heard talk about reggae, Jonko skank sound. So I'll go with his theory and with his analogy, because he's for me the best teacher, the best commentator I've ever heard speak about reggae. One he knows everything, and he's late and great in reggae music. So there you have it, brothers and sisters. That is what reggae is. Reggae was originally the sound of the music between 68 and 70. The instigators for reggae was Jackie Mittoo at Studio One when he was there at that time, and he changed the organ pattern and made it into a more jerkier sound, as I mentioned. And one of the very first songs of reggae at Studio One, which Jackie Mittoo, of course, changing the sound, was Nanny Goat by Larry Marshall and Alvin Leslie. Nanny Goat, a great song, 1968. And of course, according to Coxon Dodd, the founder of Studio One, he said that he had songs like Baby Be True by the Heptones, was another song that was one of the first to demonstrate this new sound coming out of Rocksteady, which was going to be known as the reggae sound. As I said, reggae was a beat of the music and the sound of music, and then afterwards it just became adapted and became the designated title for the whole genre of all the music that came out in Jamaica. And of course, spread it worldwide. Everybody's saying now, there's play all over the world, people are calling their thing reggae. But reggae was originally the sound of the music between 1968 and 1970. And those were the players in it. As I said, Hugh Huxbrand with his guitar. Hugh Huxbrand played for Clancy Eccles as Dynamics. Some call it the Dynamics. I think it's Dynamics or Dynamites. Or the Dynamites. It could be the Dynamites. I've seen two titles. Dynamites, Dynamics. Maybe that was their nickname, but the Dynamics, the Dynamites, probably the Dynamites. Hugh Huxbrand was there to write on organ, was another great organist there who was part of that reggae sound of the late 60s going into 1970. Hugh Hux Brown. You had Gladstone Anderson, I mentioned before, was a great keyboard player. These were the guys that changed the bass patterns out of rocksteady. But Jackie Beattie was the first to do it and the most significant one to do it. So you had people like Jackie Jackson, a great bass player, Treasurer, which was the rival, rival, was Popson and Duke were good friends. But Treasurer and the Shooter One were like facing off and they were in competition with one another between in the 60s and the 70s. So you had Jackie Jackson, to another Jackie again, what a coincidence, Treasure Ryan for Drew Creed, around the same time as you had Jackie Me Too, that Studio One with the Soul Vendors and the Soul Dimension around that time. So we're talking, as I said, 68 to 69, 70. And he was a great bass player. But Jackie Me Too was the first to change the bass pattern and bring it into. So those are the musicians who are really, really credited. We're mentioning them because we can't just mention the music and the singers without mentioning the players of the instruments who changed the beats around from rock steady into reggae. And of course, reggae, as I said, it's contagious. The title of it being called reggae music was reggae sounds good. Reggae originally was a name for a ragamuffin, a man or a young man who never carried himself well with tatty clothes, ratty clothes, raggy clothes. So that was the name for called in Jamaica they're called ragamuffins. So reggae kind of derived a bit from ragga, rag, was street music. It's the music of the people, and so they said we can't call it ragamuffin because it's like degrading the man of lesser means on the streets. So we have to call it reggae, reggae. So reggae is a creative word by the Jamaicans who are so great and so synonymous with creating words that has meaning. You see, so this is another word for here, reggae. As I said, they were calling it streggae before. I'm just going to go over a little bit for those of you just coming in late. Streggae was the word of a prostitute. So they said we can't call it streggae. That's what they were calling it initially. And some of the musicians got together and said we can't call it this. We have to call it something different. Then reggae was inspirational, but we said we can't call it ragga because ragga is degrading the man of lesser means on the roads, the man who doesn't have much, who's living homeless, who's carries himself rough because he can't help it because of his social standing. So let's call this thing reggae. Reggae one day, and it just came to him there. He said, let's do the reggae or something. But he said he was the first one to coin the word of reggae in song. And I forgot to mention this before. Clancy Eccles, I mentioned him as the producer of Eric Monty Moses' Say What You Say, which according to Clancy Eccles was the first song to change the beat, but Coxon was saying no, I was the first one with Nanny Gold, Larry and Alvin's Nanny Gold, with Jackie Me Too changing the bass organ at Studio One. Clancy Eccles had a song called Bagaboo. The subtitle of that song was called No Brag No Boast. And he says right in that song, that's another song from 1968, the year that reggae was officially created in Jamaica. He said that in that song, he said he's the first one to sing about reggae. He said that he's the first one, even before Toots, to sing about reggae. In that song, there's a line in that song what says, I'm the new king of this reggae beat. No brag, no boast, and so on and so forth, the paraphrase. And I've got the songs at home. I've got all the songs here with me at home here, where I'm staying here now, my place here. And I do listen to that song, and it's true. There's a word I've listened to that so many times, and he does sing about reggae. But who was the first one to do it? Was it Toots? Will do the reggae. I've also got that song. Was it Toots the first to do it, to sing it, to sing about reggae? He had it as a title, the first ever song in Jamaica to have reggae as its title. And even though it was spelled as we know it now, Reggae, it's spelled Reggay, as I mentioned. I'm not sure if it was Toots who first did his one for Byron Lee, or was it Clancy Eccles who did self-produced? But the reason why Toots might claim to have a victory over Clancy Eccles in terms of who was the first one to have the title, but Toots one was actually coined as reggae, do the reggae. Whereas Clancy Eccles' title wasn't reggae, it was Bagaboo, or No Bag No Boast was a subtitle of it. But he sings a line. So that's one up in the year. Unfortunately, both men have passed away now. Bunny Lee's passed away, but there's still guys around from that time, like Sly, Dunbar, the great Slam Dunbar, who know maybe a bit about it. There's other musicians, there's producers who are still alive, who was around at that time, 90 and so on. So there's still a number of guys, Derek Arrett, those guys are still around. And those guys might know a bit about what really went on at that time. Who was the first one? Eric Donaldson's still around. So there's a lot of legends still, even though we've lost a lot of legends, there's also still a lot of legends on their song. Okay, brothers and sisters, as I said, don't forget to smash a like on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to have a lot more live streams coming up. We're also going to upgrade the channel, upgrade the videos. We're moving. It's gonna take time. We're gonna try and get this channel up to par with some of the greatest ones out there. This channel is doing well, but we want it to do even better. We want to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. So you can help us with subscribing, sharing the videos, talking about us, and helping to promote us. You take care of yourselves and each other, and thank you for your participation, and thank you for your viewing and for your subscriptions thus far. You take care, and I'll see you soon. Peace and love, guidance. One love.